Yes, who are we? It says, we're body, soul, and flesh. Chameleon, spirit. Can we admit, me, myself, and the world, you guys, that we all have a chameleon spirit at times? Let me explain. Chameleon, a small, slow, moving, old world lizard with a parahesive tail, long, extensible tongue. He had a long tongue. Protruding eyes that rotate independently, and highly developed abilities to change colors. Figurative, a person who changes their opinion or behavior according to the situation. Can we identify? I certainly can identify. There was a moment in the movie when the reporter was confronted by a hostile village crowd of men who hated the evangelist and Christianity. The reporter tried to explain to the angry men in the village that the evangelist that they were seeking to kill was not a bad person. Because you see, he was there, he was reporting, his job was to report something negative, because they could not understand why people were being healed by leprosy and being conformed to Jesus Christ when they worship hundreds of gods. And how is a foreigner going to come there with a cross talking about, I come here from Jesus Christ? So it says, from what he had observed, it says that the reporter tried to explain to the angry men in the village that the evangelist was not a bad person from what he had observed. The reporter. Then the crowd of men turned their anger towards the reporter and accusing him of being a Christian, which he denied, and he then cried out with his tongue. They got him hemmed up in a corner. From what he had observed from the evangelist, he was watching him. He was hiding behind rocks and he could not find, so the village people are getting together, the men, they talking about, we're going to get him, and he could not, he said, I can't find anything. I have not seen anything that he has done that was bad enough for you guys to kill him. Then he comes with the tongue. I hope you guys will hear this clearly, the power of the tongue. So they got him in a corner. He cried out loud with his tongue, with his chameleon spirit. Yeah, we all use it when we want to use it. He says, if we have a problem with the snake, he's given a parable to the village men who are mad and angry, who want to kill him now. He says, if we have a problem, he's saying we now, he's adding himself among the village men who are angry. If we have a problem with a snake, we should cut the head off. And this was a parable he had heard. But the reporter didn't realize until after they loosed him, they let him go, he had just paid the way for them to kill the evangelist and his 2 young children. We have to be careful what we say because we don't know what heart that is going into. Does the person have anger, resentment, bitterness? Can he grab something that you're saying about a person or a thing or a place, and can he find something negative in it? And so this reporter was just trying at first to help the crowd. But then he found himself hemmed up in a corner, and because of his flesh, he went into the chameleon spirit, meaning that he changed his personality. Hold it. If we have a problem, now is we now. Before he was speaking as a reporter individually. But when he found out they was going to kill him, it's like, we. Now, if we have a problem, we cut the head off. And as a result of that, it was devastating to him and definitely towards the evangelist and his family. So the Bible warns us about the power of the tongue. In Proverbs chapter 28, verse 21, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat of the fruit thereof. All my life and all my relationships, and I hear from other men and other women that their mate, husband, friend, says some things to them. We have to find a way or allow God to examine our hearts that our feelings of hurt from somebody verbally, that God will give us the power and the discipline to control our response. Because we can say some things that will cut in no way that you can even imagine, because we heard it said on television or we heard it in a family argument, but we don't know the situation that the person may be dealing with. So when we argue and fight among each other and we start saying certain things to each other, those words have power, especially if they're negative. Because if you are quoting a negative thought towards somebody, then you're telling Satan, you have the permission to take over. The Bible says there's no condemnation of those who are in Christ Jesus, that walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. As long as we're walking in the Spirit, so I'm offended, I'm going to buffet my mouth, I'm going to resist what I really want to say, I want to discipline, Lord, give me strength not to respond, then God is saying you're walking after my Spirit. Because that's why I brought you where you at now. That's why you're saved. Because you want to show the world that we don't have to respond or live a life of a chameleon. Words have power. The Bible warns us about the power of tongue. What fruit thereof? It talks about, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof, who love to talk trash. I hear folks talking trash around me when I'm employed, and especially young people, and I tell them, look, be careful how you're talking in general, because the way you're talking, you're laughing, you're giggling, we're having fun, but the way you're talking and the words that you're using will stay with you. You cannot divide yourself. You can't curse folks out daily and then all of a sudden want to have an intellectual conversation, and then all of a sudden want to walk by the Spirit without the residue of what you said at first. So the tongue brings on residue. And again, when we decide to operate in our flesh because our feelings are hurt, God tells us your feelings are going to be hurt. He says, carry your cross. That means that when someone says something to me that I don't like, carry my cross. That means zip your mouth. Cry out to God. Because if you don't, then whatever comes out that is negative, you're giving the enemy permission to use on that person as well as yourself. That's why the Bible says, Christ said, if you meditate on a thing, it's like committing a sin. Take control of your mouth. Be right back.